thank you so much for being here and for letting me read for you. It means a lot to me that you're here, so I just want to thank you. Okay, we are doing a couples reading, so this is going to be geared towards couples, and I don't know, maybe it'll reveal that everything's great in your relationship, some key points to work on. Maybe if you're having issues, it'll highlight that. I'm not really sure where this reading is going to go, but we have 4 crystal cards. You're going to pick the card that speaks to you the most. I'm going to zoom in on these right now. That's not a zoom in. Here we go. I don't actually know if this zooms in or just focuses the attention. Okay, we have smoky quartz, rose quartz, black tourmaline, and red jasper. So these are your 4 cards, and yes, look for your timestamp below, and I really look forward to reading for you. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Hello, this is Light and Bone Tarot. Thank you so much for being here and for letting me read for you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I am going to ask you to please subscribe, or you can wait until after the reading and see if you love it or not, or you can just subscribe now and unsubscribe then. But anyway, thank you for being here. I am excited to do this reading. We're going to jump right into it. This is a couples reading, and we're just going to get kind of like a pulse on your relationship, your partnership, and we'll go from there. So you pick smoky quartz. This is going to be your pile, your reading, and I do love this picture very much. And here we go. Okay, I want to get a feeling of where your relationship's at right now, because you don't have to be here because things are bad. You know, maybe you're here because things are good, or maybe you want to work on something. So I just want to get a feeling of where you're at, and like what brought you here. So yeah, that's what I'm asking. I'm going to ask what brought you here. Why are you here for this reading? So I'm going to build this down. We have, excuse my eyes, we have an 8 of Cups. We have a 5, oh my goodness, a 5 of Swords, and we have a 4 of Swords. All right. So, okay, so this would imply that there's something going on in your relationship. The 8 of Cups is just kind of as a point blank, there's this kind of sense of moving on feeling. There's a sense of maybe loss, regret. There could be a lot of other words you would put on that, but there's definitely a sense of moving on. There could be a growing apart, just something that is like kind of set adrift in different directions. That's what I think of with the 8 of Cups. And then the 5 of Swords. 5s are always, I don't want to say like cantankerous numbers within the deck, but there's always a little bit of like strife that's going to come with the 5s. And when I see the 5 of Swords, I do think of that kind of defeat. There's been an argument. There's been someone feels shysted, or someone feels like they didn't win a fair fight, or something, not only an argument, but like an argument that didn't end well. People aren't happy with the outcome. And then the 4 of Swords, which is probably the nicest card on the deck. This is definitely like a rest, a relaxation, a pulling away, a peace, kind of like a respite card. So reading these cards very, very directly, I would say that you guys are either separating, you're talking about separating, there's something to make me think you guys are going to be, either taking some time apart in a major way, but there could be a breakup, there could be a break or something like that you're headed towards. There was definitely a fight, like there always are with couples, but I just feel like with this 5 of Swords, this fight feels like it was different than your other fights. It wasn't that same old fight, or maybe it was, and that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. But there was something about this one interaction, this one argument that just felt maybe more icky, or left you feeling more alone or more isolated. And that's the thing with this card. There's this feeling of like, either one of you said something that you can never take back, you went too far, you were too mean, you were too snarky, but there was like a point almost of no return that you crossed in this argument. And that's the feeling I get with this card, that it's just something was said or done where it was like just either unfair or cruel. There's a cruel aspect here, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And now with the 4 of Swords, this to me is the card to say like, okay, you're talking about taking that break. You really are going to take a rest from each other. So this is, I think, what happens in many, this is part of being a couple, I would say. This, you know, you have these, some fights are much more icky and horrible and awful than others. And some fights lead to breakups that last forever. Some fights lead to breakups that last a weekend, a week, a space of time where you take a break. Like, so this is, I think this is natural. But if you're here and you're already letting me read for you this far along, if this tracks, then I do think we're on the right path here. So I'm gonna get these they're kind of like these personality cards, and I want to see you, your partner, and then I just want to kind of see the vibe of your relationship, and I think this will help things. So I want to see who you are in this partnership and who your partner is. And this might be, you might not even know you're this necessarily. Like, I want this to be something insightful that you can learn from. So I would say that this is going to be you, and this is going to be your partner. So you are time and discipline. Okay, and your partner is the desert, solitariness. So when I look at this time and discipline card for you, there's something very kind of rigid. I would almost say cold. I don't know why I get a cold feeling off this card, but there's something very, let's say there's something stern. There's something like you're a person of processes. You are, you like your patterns, things you do. You're probably cyclical. Like, I just feel like you have a routine for doing things. You could be the Hierophant in that you have a very like regime for everything. This isn't bad. You might be this very type A personality, or this very like yellow or green aura where things are just always very, like defined and matter of fact and organized. But I think people like this tend to get painted with this brush of like they aren't any fun, or they're uptight, or they're square. And I don't know that any of those things apply to you, but I do think that maybe as of late, you have probably felt like you're just not, like you just aren't the fun person. And maybe you were when you first met. Maybe you weren't always this precise, or this rigid, or this like just tight in a way. And I feel like with a clock, like they're wound and they're, you know, they have a function, but they just don't really stray from that. It's very defined. And I would say, like, the message I'm getting with this card is that either you guys fell into like a cycle or a pattern where maybe you're just like working all the time, you're saving money. I just don't think there's a lot of fun. There isn't room for anything extra. And whether that room is like, there isn't time in the day for that, there isn't, like, there aren't the resources, financial, space, time, energy, whatever it is, I just feel like there's a lack of some resource. And it could be time, it could be something else, but it's kind of taken the fun and probably even the joy out of your relationship. And if this is you, it's not fun. And even this desert card for your partner, solitariness, I would say they've pulled away. I would say they've retreated. I don't get the feeling that you guys are necessarily like enjoying each other. Definitely not in the way you used to. And there's nothing fun on the table right now. Like, we'll get there. We'll find out like what, you know, if you don't want this relationship to end, what that would take or what you might want to work on. But right now, I just feel like you guys are just in different worlds, worried about different things, focusing on different things, like implementing different things. And I do think your partner is kind of alienating you. And it seems like if I had to pick which one of you is enjoying your life more at this time, it would definitely be your partner. There's almost this like calm sereneness to them. And I don't know why this is. Maybe they can turn to their work. Maybe they have friends they can turn to. Maybe there is someone else that they're turning to. I don't know, but there's a sense that like you're kind of left with the burden of like figuring this out or organizing how your guys' days are looking, but in a way that isn't fun. So I would just, in a nutshell, say that you guys are, things aren't, I don't even think they're interesting for you guys right now. They're just very stagnant. And maybe this fight that I do think feels cruel, maybe it was very much needed to shake things up, and it might not be the worst thing in the world that this happened. So we'll see. I'm going to ask if you guys, I'm going to kind of assume, or not assume, but I'm going to let the cards fall where they may, but I'm going to say, like, if you're here, you want clarity or you want things to work. I'm going to kind of operate under that premise unless I feel like something otherwise. But I'm going to ask, if you guys were to work, where would you have to be and where would they have to be? Like, how would this dynamic have to really work? So you would have to go from being time to being this, which is animals and companionship. And your partner would have to go into the space of atoms and building. So what I got from this, this animal card can be read a couple different ways. It can be read in like a fairly obvious way, which is you are someone who's very earthy. You're very connected to the earth. You love animals. You love being outside. You love nature. You love trees. You love streams. Whatever it is, like there's a part of you that is, I think you've been lacking this. And I think because you're dealing with like so much structure and so much almost like discipline, that's definitely a word that I meant to use here and didn't. Like there's something very disciplined and regimented about your life right now that you aren't doing the things you enjoy. So I think this is a card to not only say like you need to start doing the things you enjoy, but I get a feeling that some part of this has to do with animals. And I don't know, maybe you lost a pet, maybe you've been wanting a pet, maybe there's an aspect of that you guys could like bring into your relationship that would help things. There's just a vibe here that you are missing this like animal, and if it's not animals, then it's like some earthly connection in your world. And I think this really pertains to you, but there's a piece here that I kind of want for you that you just haven't given to yourself, but you have given it to yourself in the past. It's just not what's playing out in your guys' dynamic right now. And I think it's making you just a little more like staunchy and just like, you're just not relaxed. There's something very just tight about you and wound up like a clock. And sorry, I'm sure you're a blast when things are going well. And that's the thing. I say that like it's a joke, but I'm sure you are. I'm sure when things are clicking and you're happy and your relationship is good or you're in a better place, that you probably are. You're probably so interesting and so earthy, and you're probably this like hippie soul and everything's great with you. And I get the feeling that right now you're just like, oh my God, this isn't working. And if anything, you're probably pissed because it looks like your person, is swinging on this like enchanted swing. And although I'm sure things aren't ideal for them either, I just feel like you're the one going through the worst part of it right now. Okay, so so for atoms and building, I do think your partner, if they're going to make this relationship work, something tells me they need to put more effort into like structure. They need to start looking at like the smaller kind of like minutia of this relationship, like the little parts. And I don't know if they've left this up to you for some reason. I can't quite see this, but I feel like for whatever reason, there's been a burden that's put on you, and it's just kind of like that theme has played out, and it's not fun for you. And I don't know if your partner is like, they're also so overworked that they can't be bothered with other little tasks that now have become your problem, or if they're going through something and they've kind of like distance themselves, and like maybe at some point you really did cut them slack and you were letting them have their space and you were like relieving this burden, but now it's time for them to really step up. But I do think they would have to step up, and with these atoms and building blocks, I feel like they're going to have to start growing internally and just start doing things, start getting out of the house, doing more with their hands. If they're out of the house a lot, they need to start working around the house more. Like they need to start literally like using their hands and their body and their mind and start just putting it into action a little bit more. Something tells me they've been in kind of this like daze, like this is like a head in the cards cloud to me in some ways. Like I don't know if they're smoking a ton of pot, if they're like checked out, but there's a part of them, and that actually does kind of check for this. Like I don't think they're doing anything where they're truly just in this blissed out state, but I feel they've kind of checked out, and whatever their version of checking out is. I mean, they could go fishing all day. They could smoke a ton of weed. They could like, I don't know, be jacked up on Adderall all day. Like, I don't know what that looks like for them, but whatever it is, it's not fun for you. And it's left you kind of like feeling that you have to keep everything just functioning and like properly working. Yeah, and it's taken away some of your joy. And I do see, this does feel, it does feel like things are pretty tense right now. And I wouldn't say they're toxic, but I don't think you guys are feeling each other at all. I don't think you're clicking on any level. I mean, to say you're not clicking physically is just like, I think an understatement at this point. I don't think there's much of it. I just can't feel a whole bunch of love between you guys. And I really want to feel that. So let me get some cards to speak to like kind of the love between you guys. Like, is it there? What's it look like? You know, what do we want from this? So I'm going to get, so what do we do for you guys? Okay, so we've got the Magician and the Emperor, which I would say are pretty strong cards. I mean, they're both major cards. The Magician to me is very much this like magical, anything can happen, just make it happen. And the Emperor is this, he does need a counterpart. He needs the Empress to balance him out. But here's the message I'm getting for this. I do want you to get back to this earthy vibe that I think you empower. I think that's your place when you're just earthed out. And you know what, maybe it's water. Maybe you love to be by the water. Whatever that is that connects you. Maybe you have a horse and you're just out grooming your horse and being on your horse or whatever. There's a piece of you that you haven't been enjoying. And I really do think like when you do this and you can get back to that Empress Earth energy, I think your guy could be the Emperor. And in this deck, how it works is the Emperor and the Empress are their perfect like components, the counterparts to each other. When those two people are in balance, you've got this like perfect, beautiful harmony. And the Emperor is very strong, very capable, absolutely someone who makes shit happen, puts things into motion. He's not lazy. He's an emperor. He's like this authority figure, like all yang energy, aggressive, but not too aggressive if the Empress is there to balance him out. It's a very strong, confident fire root chakra energy. And we love that. And we really love it if you're his Empress. Like, and that's like, you know, the king and queen, but like of the, you know, of just the earth and the planets. Like and I do think you guys actually, I do think when I go back and I look at this, there is a connection between you guys that I think you enjoy like either traveling together, trying new foods, hiking. There's something, I think you guys like being outdoors. You like exercising or kind of working your bodies together, pushing yourselves like physically. There's something, I feel like you enjoy these kind of physical challenges together, but I just don't see that any of that's really been happening. But there is a lot of magic that can be put back into your relationship if you find your energy and your space. I really think that's the ticket. So I'm going to say, if I take away this whole reading, if I sum it up, I'm truly going to say that you need to do you right now. You need to get out of this very kind of like, oh my gosh, like strict way of being. It doesn't suit you. It's not you. It's not your vibe. And maybe you made it work for a little bit, but it's really not you. So get out of that. Start doing the things you love, surrounding yourself with the living things that you love so much. And then I think your guy or gal will pick up on this and become a little bit more of this Emperor energy, which to me really works with this Adam's building card. And I think a lot of this is on you to just kind of shake things up and do what you need to do. And I have these chakra stones. For me, each one represents a chakra. And I'm going to just throw a stone for each of you guys and say what chakra you really need to work on. And we will see. Okay, so you need to work on your crown chakra, which is basically saying that, I don't know, you need to get more. This is like the uttermost high level chakra. This is that intuition this would be a chakra of doing you. This would be a chakra of like really checking in. This is spiritual. This is a spiritual energy. This is finding your spirit. And I guess if you go out and you plug into the parts of nature and the living parts of this world that really speak to you, you are going to feel deeply connected. You are going to feel spiritual. Maybe you used to do a ton of yoga. Maybe you used to hike or like dig for mushrooms and you're not doing that anymore. And it's thrown everything off in your world. So yeah, you need to get back to doing you. And let's do one for your person. And this is the sacral chakra, second from the bottom. This is a message that and I realize I put it on opposite cards, that they need to, there's a physicality here to me. There's like a sexual energy. There's that kind of fire that drives that passion, emotion, physical. I think they need to find a way to get that passion back. And that really could be working with their hands. It could be like laying off the pot, getting off the couch, not working so hard, not being obsessed with whatever it is that's like fully pulling them in a different direction of this partnership. But yeah, I think that you guys could spiritually align and physically align. You could find these pieces within yourselves very nicely and have a beautiful partnership if that's what you wanted. So, okay, I have no idea how those rocks sounded. It might have been pretty grating, but thank you so much for listening. I hope you made it this far. I hope you liked your reading. If you did and it checks out, please leave a comment. I would love to hear it. So I'm just going to thank you for being here and hope to see you again. Goodbye. Rainbow and Tarot. Thank you so much for being here and for letting me read for you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I am going to ask you to do that now, or at least at the end of your reading if you enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate that. But for now, on to your reading. This is for couples. This is a reading for couples. We're just going to see where it goes. So yeah, I'll just open it up and I'll do the same layout I just did, which worked really nicely. So yes, a reading for couples, rose quartz, beautiful, like pink sphere. Yeah, let's get into your reading and see where we're at. So I am going to kind of get like a pulse on what brought you here. Why are you here? Like your relationship, you know, in a snapshot, like what brought you here? What's going on in your relationship? Okay. So we've got the Sun, which is a really positive and great card. We've got Page of Cups and the Hermit. So just gauging things. I love the Sun for anything to do with a relationship, because it is a very positive card. It's a card of like vitality. It feeds life. It is a card of life. It's warmth. It's like a life source. It can also be, you know, it can lead to drought and scalding and a sense of anyway, it can lead to like a scorched earth as well. There can be an overkill. There can be too much of a good thing. But in general, I really do like the Sun. It has a positive vibe. Page of Cups, I like this as well. There's this kind of like desire to be in sync, this very kind of sweet attempt to want to communicate and love and like possibly be romantic. And then we've got the Hermit, which is someone who kind of, you know, pulls away to find a source of inspiration or connection. So if this is your relationship, I actually think things are probably okay for you guys. I would say they probably started off, I think they probably aren't where they were. I think this relationship probably isn't where it was when it started off, which I think it did start off with a bang. I think there was so much energy, so much excitement, so much life. And I think that both of you are either like, I don't want to say like you're new to relationships, but I get the feeling you've either both been in relationships for a long time. So this is one of like your first relationships in a while, or you're maybe like younger and you're both like out of college, or you're something to make me think this is like one of the first ever or in a while kind of like serious relationships. Like this isn't something where you were like fuck buddies and then it just turned into something. I get the feeling like this was a very intentional, like, hey, we like each other. Let's try to make this work. Let's do this. This is like an intentional attempt to be together. And I think that this was a very fun thing for both of you guys to kind of like navigate in the beginning. And it could have been that sort of hot and heavy, like very quick to start. I'm not going to say it's burnt out by any means, but I would say there is this time after that where things just slow down and that excitement just kind of goes away, which is depressing, but it does. It's just what happens. I guess there's other ways to get it back, but that initial burst of emotion and everything kind of falls to the wayside a little bit. And the Hermit now makes me think like one of you guys has probably had a hard time with this transition, let's say, like has retreated. Once things lost that initial buzz of excitement, I have a feeling that one or both of you is pulled away. For some reason, I get the feeling that this is your partner who's kind of, just retreated somehow. And I actually think you guys are still together. I just think that I definitely don't think they're toxic. I don't think you think the other is cheating. I just see that you want to get back to where you were, like some semblance of that excitement that you guys had. And I really think it's here, but your person, there's something to make me think that there's like, they're going through something. There's something, either like a mental issue they're dealing with. And I don't mean issue in a bad way. I mean, like maybe they have little bouts of depression. Maybe something's been coming up that they're dealing with and it's hard on them and it's just kind of bummed them out. But I feel like they're in a bit of a funk, for lack of a better term. But okay, that's how I see you guys right now. So if this tracks, please stay tuned because we're going to get some more information. I want to see who you are in this relationship, who they are, and then we're going to figure out who you guys need to be if you want this to work. And this is like, you might not realize you're this right now. So this is kind of open the eyes to both of you, or to both of your situations. Okay, so this is really who you are, whether you realize it or not. We've got ice, purity, and then your person, interesting, we've got bushfires and fury. These are like very, very opposite cards. This is very much a card of like serene, calm, definitely, there's this sense of holding back, if anything, whereas this is a card of like just yelling, screaming, fury. It doesn't mean it's all done in anger, but it's just this like outpouring of emotion. So, which is definitely not the read I gave in the beginning. So we'll figure out how this all tracks, because I did say that I think your person is kind of this withdrawn hermit right now, which doesn't necessarily go with them being this bushfire fury personality, unless they're dealing with, maybe they've got anger issues. Maybe there's something that is making them incredibly stressed out. Maybe this relationship is like almost too much for them and they are quite frankly pulling away. This card could also be like fleeing, like this sense of just kind of abandonment or absolute just running in the opposite direction. I do think that your person has checked out. I don't think they're really connected to you very much at this time. And maybe I'm not saying they don't want to be. I'm just saying that there feels like you guys, it feels a lot like you're opposites right now. And especially with the hot and the cold. I mean, and it's funny because up here we have the sun, which at one point was very, very, warming and great. And now I just feel like you're under this blanket of ice. Like you're not getting any of that initial warmth. It's kind of left the relationship, and your person, for whatever reason, I can't pinpoint if they've completely retreated, if they've ran, if they've left, if they aren't even here anymore, if they made you think they were doing it because they had to like better themselves or work on themselves, or if they just got so angry, there's a part of them right now that I can't quite assess. And initially, the Hermit card can make me think this person's intentionally stepped away to kind of work on themselves and to find this greater connection that would behoove everyone that they interact with. But now I don't know if this is a card to really communicate that anymore. Maybe I'm getting more of this like almost chaos behind them, this chaotic, really not in sync, not in tune, not sticking around. And the synchronicity is definitely a word you could give to the Page of Cups, this kind of desire to like be in sync. So I'm going to say you guys are completely out of sync right now. And I don't think there's much like physical or mental connection between you two. I think there's a big divide, which, is where I'm getting. And as for you, there is this kind of coldness to you. I don't know if you've been hurt by this person. And here's another message I'm getting. Maybe they did do something. Maybe they showed a side of them that was very angry and very hurtful, or toxic or malicious or whatever. Like maybe they kind of flashed and you saw a side of them. And that's kind of caused them now to be like, oh my gosh, I don't ever want to do this again. I don't want to be this person. I need to figure out why I did this. And maybe now they're kind of pulling away to assess the situation. And this has left you feeling very like lost, scared, confused, just without But I do think you're in this kind of sense, this state of confusion. Yeah, I don't think things are really fun for either one of you guys right now. And they really were at one time. And I really think if you want, you guys can probably get back to that. But your person has some addressing of issues that they need to work on. And maybe that's exactly what they're doing right now with the Hermit. And this is just a card to tell us how they got there, what drove them to that. And if that's the case, then that's very noble. I mean, I really respect that. It just looks like you would have to handle this better, deal with the situation better. And I don't know, we'll figure out what that's going to take. I'm going to find out where you guys need to be in this relationship. What sort of personalities do you need to take on to make this work if that's what you want? So we want to see from you plants, growth, which is something I'll explain and it makes sense. And from your person, we want to see breath and life. Okay. So from you, and I didn't express this before this card came down, but there is a sense to me that you also need to do some growing, that whatever this is, it's pushed you, it's made you sad. It's made you recede. It's made you pull back. It's made you kind of like, I don't even know that it's made you contemplative. I don't even know that you know what you're thinking about. It's just made you kind of like bummed out, like very ho-hum, it's drained your energy. I can quite frankly like see you being very tired, sluggish, like just a piece of like weighted down. But I don't think that you've really spent the time to address like why is it affecting you so much? Why is this like a codependent dynamic? Is this one of the, again, this could be one of the first ever or first in a long time relationships where you've like really put yourself in this situation, but it's definitely affected you. What's gone on with your partner has really gotten to you. And I think that this might be something that you want to work on. And when I see the plants and the growth, I just see this like, this would be you really working on yourself, really focusing on yourself, nurturing yourself, worrying a lot less about what your person's up to. This could be what happens after you take a break, maybe for, a couple weeks or a month or summer or spring or whatever. Like this makes me feel like you really have some growing of your own to do. And when I say maturing, I don't mean that in a dig at you, like you're immature, but there's something to make me think you're in a slump right now and it's not all your person's fault. Like there are things you still need to work on. I'm sure you guys can do this together, and we'll get cards for that. But I just, as equally as your person needs to work on themselves, I think they are doing this with the Hermit. And maybe you're like a little jealous or resentful that they are working on themselves. Because if they are the Hermit, that means they like really addressed their issue. They addressed it. Whatever this card or this energy was that they were at one time, or it came out of them one night or one day or whatever, like they are addressing it with the Hermit card. Because that's what this card is. It's a card of retreat and just like self-reflection and inner work. It's a very, very good card. But also this is a person who's soul searching. And I don't know if they can be in a relationship right now while they're going through this kind of betterment, this path. Maybe you guys can. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying if there was like a break that you guys have talked about, it might be a really good thing because they can, course correct, get happy, and you can do the same thing. And this would be like where you just flourish. I will say, if you guys do take time apart, I see that you will absolutely flourish. It might be really sad or really hard in that first weekend or that first night, but I don't even think it's going to affect you as much as you think because you're going to be so strong and amazing. It's just kind of like this new you. So I could talk all about those like fun words of how you're going to grow and thrive. And it's so impressive and it's so beautiful. And it's like just this lit up, successful version of yourself. And these cards are so different. This is like, no one really wants to be in this state. It's like you're just blocked under the ice. And then you've got this beautiful, I don't know if it's a moose or an elk, but it's just majestic. It's full of life. It's got like little fairy dust around it. It's just everything. And it's a giver of just everything. Okay. And so your person, because they aren't perfect and they need to continue working on themselves. So we have breath and life. And for me, they do need to take some time. They need to slow down. They need to just be a little more harmonious with everything around them. I actually think your person is probably, when I say problematic, I don't mean that in like a bad way. I just think they have their own little bag of issues that they're probably always going to have. They probably deal with temper or aspects of addiction. I'm not saying you shouldn't be with them or that they're like a hot mess necessarily, but I do think that they have their own set of issues that they deal with. And I wouldn't even call them demons necessarily, just issues. And they do need to slow down. They do need to be more in the moment. They need to take in the oxygen. And it's funny because I was going to say with this card, you're a giver of oxygen of life. And then I realized like breath is taking that in. Like you guys I really think you guys can help each other in a lot of ways. Like you can be the oxygen and they can be the breath. Like there can be this great exchange and give and take. But right now you're like fire and ice. You're calm and excited. It's just these opposites aren't doing anything. But this is like a very nice flow that you guys can get to. And if you want that, I'm going to pull 2 tarot cards and just kind of see what you need to do to get there, what it would take. Just some fun guidance from spirit. So we've got death. Okay, so that to me is taking a break, but we will get there in 1 second. And we've got the Empress. So, okay, I hate saying that you guys need to take a break, and that's not for me to say. But if I'm turning these cards over and these are, the cards that spirit put down, I would say something definitely has to stop. And I can't read this any other way than like, yes, I do think a break would be a very, very good thing for you guys. And I don't at all, I will say this, like when I say take a break, I'm not saying like you need to see other people. It's not that kind of a break. It isn't for either one of you. I think it's the kind of break where you guys both work on yourselves. And to be honest, you'd probably really like stay friends throughout this time and then turn back into like the romantic partners that you really want to be. I don't even think this break would be very long, but I think it would be this like, it would just kick off something very important for both of you. So yeah, that is the message I'm getting from spirit there. But also the Empress card is probably one of my favorite cards in the whole deck, especially in a relationship reading. This is a very beautiful card of like, oh my God, earth, abundance, like sensuality. Just, it's this very beautiful, fertile, kind of luscious card. And it's a card of, it's definitely a good omen card. It's a card that tells me if you guys really want to be together, you can do this. But I do see this with this, it's an earthy card. I think you guys need to get back to like what makes you happy, finding your place, growing, working on things, slowing down, whatever it is. There's just this very kind of like creative, slow, in tune energy that needs to be here. And it's not. And I feel like you guys are very much, you're working and living in different directions, like you're opposites. And I've given examples of those, but like, I think if you guys took a break or one of you brought it up, it would almost be a relief because I don't know how you would make it work without stepping back and like looking at the big picture and working on things. And honestly, like, I feel like this break for you guys would really lead to like a lot of excitement and romance. Like you would have to get over the hurdle of like the first weekend without each other or the first week. But like, I really don't think this would be a very long break. But it is what's needed. And I could see things really working out for you guys. And I do, when I look at this big picture, I do think there's a lot of passion between you guys, a lot of potential for just excitement and making things work. And you really can be that like opposites attract couple where things are just this crazy like give and take and balance, and it feels like exciting and electric, but a few things have to change. And I've got these stones for the chakras, which I'm kind of obsessed with at the moment, but far from an expert, obviously. So I'm going to do a chakra stone for each of you, and it's just going to be the chakra that you really want to work on right now, or maybe your most underdeveloped chakra. So let me just get a stone here for you. And so I have deemed this solar plexus chakra. So to me, this is like you really getting into your stomach, your gut, how your body works, like find your health, get your energy back. This is absolutely, for me, like this is energy. This is life. This is like, you're probably not eating well. You're probably not taking care of yourself. You're probably sleeping too much or not sleeping enough. Like definitely getting back to your internal kind of cycles and just nurturing yourself and taking care of yourself. And that is going to give you like that energy and that sustenance. It's going to, everything from like make your skin, your hair, your breath, everything is just going to get better and feel better and be more just strong and beautiful, like the beautiful Empress. So yeah, this is the solar plexus chakra, which I would say is probably your most out of whack at this time. And for your guy, they need to work on, well, I'll take that. This is the root chakra. So this is like, I don't know, just that grounding. And I do think of the root chakra, like I think of fire and I think of anger and I think of like that intense kind of out of whack, out of sync. Like they just need to settle and calm and find their place and just like relax into things. Like I feel like there's a lot of angst with your person, a lot of, just angst. And I just feel like this root chakra part to them is they just also need to get back to the earth, back to a calmer way of being, consistency, finding just a pattern and a cycle and really like just taking care of themselves. So, I don't know that I did a great job of explaining that, but your partner needs to work on their root chakra and you need to work on your solar plexus chakra. And these will never mean anything to you. This is my own personal little thing here. But yes, this is your reading. So if this tracked for you at all, if you found it interesting or helpful, I would love to hear about it. Please let me know if you can. It would mean a lot. And thank you again for your time. I hope to see you again. Goodbye. Light and Bone Tarot, thank you so much for being here and for letting me read for you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you're open to doing that, I'm just going to ask you to do that now. Or if you enjoy your reading and it speaks to you, then please do subscribe. But thank you very much for letting me read for you. This is a reading for couples. I don't know what else to say. We're going to kind of pull some cards and see where your relationship's at and get some guidance from spirit. But this is a couples reading. I've really enjoyed it. And black tourmaline, I don't know what it is about this card, but I love it. It just reminds me of like, I don't know, like a lava or a cliff. I don't know. That is probably not what it reminds anyone else of. But I just, there's something very beautiful and edgy about that card. Okay. I am going to start with 3 cards to kind of get an idea of like what's your relationship looking like? Like, why are you here right now for this reading? I want to get like a snapshot of your current relationship status. Okay, we've got Ace of Wands, which is positive. We've got the Fool, which is also pretty positive. And we've got the Queen of Wands. Okay. So wands are, I mean, they're fire, they're passion, they're action. And it's funny because the Fool to me is also a card of action, but it's like almost this silly, careless, I do what I want kind of thing, which it's not, it doesn't always take on that flavor. But in this reading, I do kind of think it does. So I think you guys are both very busy, but I think you guys both have your own agendas. Whether you both have these, I don't know, like these plans to travel somewhere different and yet very specific, or you have these plans for work or your career, there's just something like you're both very actively pursuing something, but I don't know that they're in sync right now. However, I don't know that they're not. So I'm not going to go down that route of saying that they aren't in sync. I'm just trying to kind of gauge this relationship of yours. The Fool card is the most interesting card here because in general, the Fool to me is this card of like, it's adventure. It's trying new things. It's doing it like fearlessly. It's doing it with this kind of like childlike enthusiasm. There's really nothing menacing or dark or ugly about this card. It's just very, it's kind of fun. There's a very fun energy that goes with it. And then even with the Queen of Wands and the Ace of Wands, there's this also, this potential, this excitement. Like I do think there's something going on with you guys where you're very, there's a lot of passion. There's a lot of excitement, vibrancy. So I could see that you guys you met maybe with common interests, whether you were working on the same project or you have like the same passion or hobby. I do think there's something very specific that you do together that you enjoy. I mean, it could be anything like from yoga to like rock climbing to camping to traveling the world or whatever it is, but there's a sense of adventure between you guys. So I would say right now, the more I look at this read, I really think this is actually very hopeful, because ace cards they're full of potential. They're full of anything it's a card of untapped potential. And then with the wands, to me, there is like that passion and that enthusiasm and that vibrancy that comes through. So I do think there's a lot of potential for you guys. I also think you guys are both people who do whatever you want, whenever you want. I don't think either one of you are people that can really handle hearing no or being told when or how to do something. You guys are probably both very stubborn, very driven by your own impulses and urges. There's this sense that's why I said if you're going to be traveling, it's different places. Not that you want to travel to different places, but I just feel like you each have your own ideas and you're both very stubborn. And I think you're both very prone to like digging your heels in and just kind of not budging. So if there is a problem in your guys' relationship, I will say it might stem around the fact that neither one of you is very good at compromising. But I do think you share a lot of the same ideas of what's fun and exciting, and all that. So, okay, I want to see who you are in this relationship and who your partner is. And I've said in the past, I'll say it now, you might not even know you're this person. This is kind of like insight from spirit as to like who you are in this partnership. Okay, so we've got fire and ignition. So this definitely tracks. And for your partner, we've got atoms and building. So you, and it's funny, there's a similarity here between these cards and this kind of swirly bits. And the wands are fire. So, we see a streamer here because cats don't generally play with fire, but if it wasn't a cat, it would be fire. Okay, you definitely are. You're incredibly creative. I think you're very passionate. I think you have a high drive. You go after what you want. And again, you don't take no for an answer. You really probably don't compromise. And that is the compromise piece. But I think the amount of passion that you put into something is like, your biggest gift and your best gift and your biggest downfall or whatever. Like it is the piece of you that you would, die doing the thing you love doing, but you would probably not spend a whole lot of time at all ever doing the thing you don't want to do. And your partner is probably the same way, but I'm really getting this for you. It is exciting, and you do ignite people around you. You do light up a room. People want a part of that energy that you give off because it's just that like heat lightning, right? It's so exciting. It's so raw. It's so real. Or it's so in your face, but I think it can be a lot for your partner. But actually, yes and no. I think they love this about you. They love this about you. But also it can be a lot. Okay, and your partner, I've got atoms and building here, and there is a lot of, I think your partner is very bright. I think they're very much kind of sciencey in their head. I do think they're creative, but they're creative, and you're like this chaotic creator of beautiful chaos. I don't know, like if you painted, you'd be throwing stuff at the canvas kind of thing. Like there's this wildness to you, right? But your partner, I don't think so much. I think they're a lot more structured in their creativity, but I think they can create and come up with very big plans and ideas. There's something like a lot of almost untapped potential that I see in them. And the two of you guys together could probably build or create anything, whether you want it to be the relationship, the family, this house that you build together, this trip around the world you take, this like culinary, whatever. Like I just feel like there's so much potential for you guys to enjoy and create things together. But I also feel like there's so much energy there that things really have to be like channeled. Let's put it that way. Okay, so I'm going to now get two cards to say, like, if you want this to work, and this is definitely the advice from Spirit, like what you try being this person, and your person should try being this person. Like work towards these energies that I'm going to turn over, or bring a little bit of this into the mix to kind of like balance things out. And I look at you guys and I don't really know that there's not a lack of obviously like passion or care or interest. I think you guys are completely into one another. I just think you've probably got to a place where there needs to be more than just this fiery passion. And I don't even mean that in like this, like all physical consuming way, because I think you guys have a lot more than just like a physical passion. I think you're past that. Like, that you can't survive on just a physical relationship. I think you guys, like I said, you're past that stage. You've encountered that stage, you're past it. But I still think now there's this part of you where it's like, okay, the excitement level that we both crave and need, we have to find ways of not always searching for that next high necessarily. Like, you're going to have to find a little more enjoyment in like the lesser details, right? So, just a little more of like a settling down and a quieting of things. Okay, so let's see what that would look like for you and for them. Okay, so time, which is, what do we have here? Discipline. And then for your person, we've got breath and life. So this is definitely the time and the discipline card. It's discipline. It's much more regimented. It is the absolutely boring, dulled down, horrible counterpart to this person. You don't want to be time, and I don't ever want you to be time. I don't ever want that creative peace and flair in you to kind of die down. However, if we're talking about like making the relationship work, I do think there is a part of you that has to be more, I dare say, responsible. I think you have to be a little bit more in tune, less selfish. Maybe your partner needs you at places at a certain time. Maybe they want certain things from you that you haven't been willing to make the sacrifice of time that it would take to do that. Like, and I don't know why this is so like 1950s. Like, I'm not saying you're going to cook dinner every night, but like, let's say a few nights a week, they'd love it if you guys either cooked together, or if you cooked dinner, or if you made a meal a day and you're like, I don't know where I'm going to be at that time, or I don't know if I'm going to be working on something. And that's fine. You're entitled to that. But like, I feel like there's that piece of compromise that, you more so actually isn't quite giving to the relationship, but I think neither one of you really like compromise. And your person, I feel like they can be locked up in some part of their mind or some room of the house, just deeply focused on like a more intense and detailed, kind of like minutia of a project. But I feel like they have this part too, where time just flies by. They could go into this space, this place, and hours, minutes can turn into hours, and they emerge and you're like, you've been doing this all day. So I think this could drive you guys apart if you didn't both try to get a little more like responsible with your energies, and you're just more judicious with your time, energy, resources, everything. And so you're just going to need to be a little bit more of a bore. You're going to have to be more regimented, more structured, more cyclical. You're going to have to be a little more in tune to anything that has to do with discipline and time. So, and I think if you're watching this already, you probably know what this looks like. It doesn't look the same for everyone, because it's relatively speaking. I'm already very boring and regimented. So if you gave me this card and said I had to be time, I don't think I don't know what I would do. I mean, I would cease to exist. But for you, I feel like it's just a little bit more structure, basically, and a little more like discipline given to keeping up that structure. And it somehow, I definitely see sacrifice coming into this. Whereas your person, I feel like they need to loosen up. They need to open up. There's something like, I do think they're in their mind a lot. I think that they're very focused on these projects that kind of like pull them inward. And it's something about like either they work in a small space, or they're like looking at very small things, but there's a very like scientific aspect to how their mind works. And you're like this big free ball of energy, and they're much more like inwardly focused on the little details. But they need to open up. They need to get this kind of like calm confidence. Like, they need to start doing yoga. They need to work on their breath. They need to just start like relaxing. I think your person is actually very uptight. I think you guys are like opposites in a lot of ways, but it really works. Whereas they might lose track of time because they, I think, can get in their head and lose track of time. But I think that they're very good at like structure. Something tells me from a discipline standpoint, they're very, very structured. And they actually need to get like less structured, and you need to get more structured. That's kind of what I'm seeing for you guys. But I like that, because there's something I think naturally this would be like a really good ebb and flow in general for, even if you guys weren't together, I'd be like, this is probably, if you want to achieve more things and be more successful in this department and whatever, I would say this is probably the natural thing that would have to work its way into your life. So yeah, this is what I see for your guys' partnership. And yeah, your person just needs to chill out a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to get 2 cards from Spirit to see like, yeah, like just how you can go about working on this. Like what could this look like? What are some, how to do this a little bit. Excuse me. So we have the 10 of swords, and which is interesting. And then we have the 7 of pentacles. Okay. So the 10 of swords is one of those like kind of heavy cards. It is an endings and defeat card, but in this context, it doesn't have anything to do with you guys ending as a partnership. I do think it is the ending of like some behavior. There's something that's going to end here, and it's not like the death card. It's not that kind of an ending at all. So what am I trying to say here? It makes me think that like a way that you've been thinking or just doing something, one of your patterns, you're just going to kind of, I think you're going to really address it. You're really going to work on it. And I actually do think that. I think you're going to find the discipline to really make this work. So actually, I see this as a good omen. I see that if you're watching this, you're really taking this in and you're thinking like, okay, I do need to do this, and I'm going to add more structure, and I'm going to kind of cut myself off from like instead of indulging in every little source of enjoyment and seeing it through to the bitter end, I'm going to work on having a little bit more structure there. So I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. Okay. Anyway, and the 7 of Pentacles is like, it's like I'm making investments. I think you guys are really going to start working together a little bit more. And I do think that like with this, there will be sacrifices you guys will take together, but I think it'll really pay off. I see you guys working this whole process together. And whether you guys do have like similar lines of work, or you work for similar companies or the same companies or whatever, I just feel like there's going to be this kind of coming together to just make an investment in your home, your future, your everything. Like there's just a very, very positive message here. You're going to be changing the most, or in the most dramatic way, in the way that's going to feel the most heavy and kind of like, oh, like why is all this burden on me to change the relationship? But in some ways, I do see you as being the one with like the most that needs to change. It would be, and I think with you setting these little, or just showing that you are making this sacrifice and that you are doing this, I think your person's going to really acknowledge it and see it, and then do whatever it is that you want from them to get back to this like crazy fun kind of existence, this space that you guys take up, which I think is very like exciting and fiery, and like there's like this kind of brilliance between you two. I just think you're both very like high functioning, creative, interesting individuals. And yeah, but you definitely have some things to cut out and work on, and they have a few things to like introduce to work on. So okay, I've got these stones, which I'm calling my chakra stones. I'm going to get a stone for each of you as to like what chakra you need to work on kind of developing through this process, or opening up a little bit. So for you, we've got, and I get that this is your partner's card, but for you, we've got, oh no, this was your card. Pardon me, this is the crown chakra. This is like your uttermost kind of spiritual connection, really tapped into like, just, it's just a very spiritually connected psychic energy card. And this is like your higher self. So yeah, this is probably really finding what you want. Because if you're willing to do this, it's because you really do want to work on yourself. This is a very conscious, I think, like I'm working on myself. I'm putting down, I'm doing what I need to do to just make my life better. And I do think it's going to give your life an element of structure that's going to make things a lot easier, including your relationship. So yeah, that is you putting in the work on yourself. And then so for your partner, we've got, what do we have here? for them. We also have the same stone, which seems kind of anticlimactic, but they also need to get just a little more spiritual, a little more like almost less scientific, less heady in this like over analytical kind of way. This, yeah, like they need to, I just see something with breath work. I see something with yoga. I see something with like trying new things, like even like, I mean, like a psychedelic drug kind of thing. Like I just like this expansion that maybe they were never comfortable taking before, but this exciting kind of step to like try new things. And I do see that sense of adventure here in you guys, and in your past and what you're doing. But there is definitely this, and it is interesting that you guys both have this. And I will say this is like, for both of you guys to have this, I'm like, I don't know, maybe you guys need to do like an ayahuasca trip in Peru or something. Like it's that kind of next level where I feel like you guys have something. There's something exciting here with the crown chakra for both of you, that like opening this up and tuning into this can be like really, really exciting. Like, I don't know if this would come into like tantric work or something, like just something very, kind of exciting, but like very high level and, very new to what you've been focusing on, because you're like you're very like guttural passion. I don't know how spiritual you are. You might be, but I don't see that in the cards. And then your person, I don't know how spiritual they are either. They might understand a lot about like the mystical workings of this universe, but I don't know that they're like tapped into that kind of high level thinking. And I don't know what high level even means. I don't even know why I say that, but okay, I'll stop it now. This is your reading. If you like it, if you have any feedback, please let me know. I'd love to hear your comments, and please subscribe, like, do whatever you can, and come back for another reading. I would love it. So thank you so much. Goodbye. Hello, this is Light and Bone Tarot. Thank you so much for being here and for letting me read for you. I will just ask you quickly, if you haven't subscribed to my station, I am at the point where I'm actually asking for subscriptions, comments, likes, whatever. But yes, if you could please subscribe, I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. But this is your reading. This is a couples reading. So I assume you're in a relationship, you're coupled up in some way, and we're going to get insight into your relationship, I guess, good, bad, otherwise. This is the fourth reading, so the last three were really interesting in my opinion, and really, really fun. Red jasper, there's just, I don't know, I just feel like passion coming through on this stone. It's like so glossy and shiny and fiery. It's a beautiful stone, and it's probably great for a couple's reading. So, okay, I am going to do 3 tarot cards to just get like a kind of temperature on your relationship. What's happening with you guys in a nutshell? Where are you at? What brought you here? Let me see you guys. So we've got the Knight of Pentacles, which is a very like balanced, good, almost boring, but very good energy. We have the Four of Pentacles. So we're really feeling this whole Pentacles theme here. Oh my God. And the Queen of Pentacles. Okay. Wow. I would say you guys are like, oh God, you're kind of, a bit of a snooze fest right now, you guys. You're working, you're saving money, you are counting pennies, you are budgeting, you are holding tight to things. And I don't know if it's because there's a lack, but either you want something very bad that you're really working towards it. But I will say there's something very admirable about this so far. I think you guys are working together. You're on the same page. I think you're very much tuned in. You have this common goal, whether it's to buy a house, start a family. I just feel like there's this, you're saving. However, you're probably at your wit's end with this. You're probably bored out of your mind. You want some reprieve. You want to have fun. You want to party. You want to do all the things you haven't done. But yeah, the Knight of Pentacles is just this very good energy of someone who is just so driven to make things work, right? It's someone who is the opposite of hasty, the opposite of someone who's going to jump in. I mean, this is the person who's going to completely think things through. They're not going to act without thought, without like proof that it's the right decision. There's just routine and structure here. And also I get the feeling it's someone who wants that home, wants that family, wants that good, stable energy. There's just a great stability that comes off this card. And I really like that. I love these cat cards, but I'm not pulling all that from this silly little cat card, but in general, it is a very stable card. And yeah, this also, I mean, this is discipline. Like you are working towards something. You're not messing around. And the Queen of Pentacles, I guess I really like seeing this even more than the King of Pentacles. Because to me, the Queen of Pentacles, she's this very earthy, nurturing, kind of like earth goddess. There's something very like sexy about this energy. It reminds me a lot of the Empress energy, which is like this very just earthy, abundant, caring, tuned in. Yeah, so if things are kind of boring right now and maybe they're a little bit stagnant in different ways because you have been like saving and budgeting in different ways, I still think there's a lot of passion between you guys, and the love, there hasn't been any love lost. And it's definitely there. So I would say if you're here reading this, like you guys are, I wouldn't say you've been through something, you're working towards something, and it hasn't necessarily been fun, but I like the path you guys are on, because I think all relationships take this on at some point, whether you want to remodel a part of your house or start a family or save for a big trip, like something that is going to ultimately make your relationship and your lives more abundant and interesting. That's what this is all about. But you haven't lost sight, and you're still tuned into one another. You're still enjoying each other. You might not be enjoying in the sense that like you're popping bottles of champagne, but you're definitely, you're pretty happy. Things are good for you guys. All right. I'm going to get a card, to show who you are in this relationship and who your person is in this relationship. And you might not even know that you're this. So it's kind of like a little bit of insight as to who you really are, in case you wanted to hear it from me. Okay. So movement and speed, and then your person, we've got dark matter, mystery. So you are, you're quick, you're swift, you're capable, you're strong. There's this very much like powerhouse vibe here. This to me is like the mom that can do it all, or the student that's just kicking ass and like working hard and has a side job and like a side hustle. I don't know. There's a lot of very like a high capable, high functioning person here. And there's no holding back. I mean, you probably you're go. I don't know if you can like never sleep, or you're just so exhausted by the end of the day, but this is a very positive card. I mean, I could say if I had to point to like things that you'd need to work on in this card, maybe you do need to calm down, slow down, stop moving. Maybe you're like so driven, you're always working towards something. You need to just like chill out and like drop the goals for one night or one weekend. Cause I do think you guys as a couple are both very goal orientated and goal driven. I think you like your checkpoints, your milestones, like you're very much, but you guys are both also like, there's this kind of sensual piece here that I know it's here because of the Queen of Pentacles. But yeah, you guys are working towards something, but you in general, you're a go-getter, and there's a lot of movement there, which makes me think that your partner is more of the Knight of Pentacles. Your partner is more the less hasty person. You probably have the haste, like you're the gas and he's the brake, or she's the brake, vice versa. But like, I definitely think that you're the gas and they're the brake. And this can be in so many ways. This can be in like little decisions. It can be in just in any aspect, like you're the one pushing and they're the one like pulling back, but that works. It definitely works for you guys. And your person, I like this dark matter mystery card. There's nothing dark about it in this context, but I do think your person has a little edge to them. There's something, and I do think you find this dead sexy about them. Like whether you realize it or not, I'm sure you do realize it, but there's something like mysterious about your person. Like they're just this kind of dark night in a way. I think they're very bright. I think they're very sharp. There is something mysterious about them. And when I say dark, it's almost like their mind works in a way where they just, either they know a lot of like, and this is very like specific, but like a lot of stuff about like the occult, or like things that are like the mysteries of this world. And they have this kind of piece to them where they can almost convince you like, yes, this is like, you're right. There's so much more to this world. And I don't know, like, I just feel like they open your eyes to things that are, maybe not avenues of thought you would have gone down, but I actually think you find this very sexy and appealing. Like and I don't think they're like you in this way. So like you could either be like this more religious kind of like type A, and they could be a little bit more of this, like, they're just a wild card, basically. To me, they have this wild card aspect to them, this Maverick-esque quality without being over the top. They're still very, very grounded, or they're very regimented, they're very disciplined, they're very structured. So they check all those boxes, but there's a wild card edge to them, which is cute. I like that you like it so much. I would like it so much. Okay, I am going to now pick the cards, like, because I think you guys are solid, you're strong. At best, you need a little excitement. You need to get to this piece where things kind of pay off. But I'm going to find out, like, the energy you should kind of move into or embody, and then the energy they should move into or embody, to kind of just, like, I don't know if it's like spice things up or get things moving a little bit, to get out of this kind of rut of budget and definitely don't want to say lack, because you're working towards something. So lack isn't the right word, but this kind of, you want a little more abundance, let's say. So for you, we've got Power of Volcanoes, which is so totally this card. So in other words, don't change a thing, just crank up the passion aspect. We'll get to that. And for your person, we have Wind and Change. Okay, so for you, I like that it's actually, I like a lot that it's this very similar energy, because there is this, this person here is quick, strong, steady, capable, and then the volcano is like, it's sheer power, it's will, it's determination, and it's that passion to just, it's like a sun card kind of, it's just, I do think you are the kind of like the glowing ball of light in this relationship. You are probably the one that, like, I don't want to say you feed the passion. Your person, I think, worships you and loves you and looks up to you, but I think you're kind of the source of, like, excitement, right? Like, if you say you want to do something and then your person's like, well, if they want to do it, then it's got to be cool. It's got to be exciting. Like, you're kind of like the cool one, I think. I think you're the one that, like, initially draws people in, although your person might be the one that, like, actually helps them to stay. And I'm talking about, like, friends or other couples, or, like, even that person in line at the grocery store. Like, they might start talking to you because they noticed you first and you've got that kind of dynamicism to you. But I feel like your partner is the one that actually, like, keeps them around, because you're just kind of like a scattered ball of energy and you can't really hone in or focus too much. But yeah, and I think this is fun. Your partner gets off on this. They love this. They don't want you to change. And if anything, there's a little bit of a passion piece here. I'm going to say, like, just turn up that heat, that fire, maybe lean into a little bit more of that, like, lava. I guess lava can be fast moving. It can be slow moving, but there's just this amp up the fire, amp up the heat a little bit. And I guess maybe it's on you to find a way to kind of, turn on the passion a little bit. And whether you guys, I don't know, take a trip, go out to dinner, whatever it is that you do to kind of, like, just spice things up, I think that would be a good move. It's going to be on you, but I think it's going to be very, very well received. And so I don't know, that's the message I get there. And for your person, for change, for wind change, they do need to embrace a little bit more change. I don't think your person likes change. I think they're probably fairly stubborn, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think it might be hard for them to change their views or their beliefs. Whereas you're so open and dynamic, I just think they lack that. And they probably envy this about you in a good way, or they not really envy, but they, like, really respect and love this about you. They admire it about you. Just how dynamic you are and how quick you are to, like, take on new concepts. And like, even reading tarot, maybe you never even mentioned tarot to them 2 months ago, and now you're watching videos on YouTube. Even that, like, just they wish they could do this. And I think this really turns them on about you, because it's a part of themselves that they would love to have more of. But they do need to get a little less rigid. They do need to get more motion, more fluidity, more, and also too with wind, I think of air and I think of swords and I think of that, like, a little more of an open mind. Maybe they hold too tightly to certain like beliefs or concepts or like ideas, notions, whatever. But I do think they need to just like open up their mind a little bit, relax a little. I see them as being, and I don't want to say like rigid and uptight, because that paints a picture of someone who's not like interesting or sexy or whatever, but like your person is, they have this edge to them. And I really do want to go back to that. They're edgy, they're dynamic. They want to be more open. They truly do. Like that's why you guys work so well together. They really do want this. And you really, really help them with this, but they do need to work on that. But also because of them being them, and you do have a lot of like earth energy in you as well. You are fire and earth. You are very, very passionate, but you also know if there's something you want, you're going to go after it. And you will go through this phase of, like scrimping and saving and just doing whatever it takes to get to the end goal, because you know if you want something, you're always going to get it. Whatever's in your path, you will literally like destroy it to get what you want. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. I just mean that like nothing's going to stop you. I guess like a lava flow. It's that passion, it's that desire, and it's that like you're on a path. And you guys work very, very well together. But yeah, I do think your person needs to take on a little more change in how they think. Just open their mind a little bit more, and I think it would make them very happy. And you too. Okay, and let's get some cards, 2 cards from Spirit, just kind of like how you might do this, what this would look like to work on this together. So we've got the Queen of Wands, which is, the not a pentacle, which is good, I guess. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And then we have the Magician. So the Magician is an air card. This is definitely, so when I think of air, I think of swords, I think of thought, I think of that kind of like that intellect and that opening your mind. But yeah, the Magician is this anything can happen kind of card. This, I have everything I want to make whatever I want happen. This can be everything, I think, from like manifesting to working towards your goals and making it happen, which I think you guys are very close to doing. So yeah, this is that card to say like, you are creating the world and the life that you guys want. You're doing that. You are you've been working towards it. It has not always been fun. And you're probably about to explode, quite frankly. Like you need an outlet too. That's another thing here. Like you need some fun, like get this girl some fun. You really are overdue for it. So if the passion has been lacking, it's not that you guys don't care for each other. It's not that you're not into it. It's not that you want this relationship to end or you need a break. It's none of that. It's just that like you need to have some fun. And I think really you are the driver when it comes to these kinds of things. Like you're the person, I think I said earlier, that's going to be like, oh my God, let's just pack our bags and get out of here. Let's go to that restaurant. Let's get a bottle of tequila. Like, let's just like, literally like, let's get this party started in whatever way you can afford for time, money, space, whatever, like just make it happen. So, and your person will be on board with this. I think whatever you throw at them, they're really going to work towards like embracing and taking on. And yeah, there's a magic to that. They are going to be opening their minds and probably impressing you a little bit. Like you're going to think that they are almost under this like incredible spell that they're just, you're almost going to watch them change before your eyes in a very, very exciting and good way, but not too much. They're always going to be them, but you know what I mean? And the Queen of Wands, this is more heat, more excitement, more doing. I think from you, we've got this very clear vibrancy, this action of this motion, this speed, this swiftness. And I think we are going to see even more gas from you. But I think when I see that action, I think because what you guys are working towards, what you've been wanting to happen is finally starting to happen. It really is. And with that, you can start to relax. You can start to enjoy each other. You can get back into your groove of being this like amazing, just ball of energy and fire and just heat and source and exciting stuff. So I do see things really working out for you guys, not only in your relationship, but I mean like what you've been chipping away at here, what you've been working towards. I actually see it coming to a head. I see it coming to fruition. I see you guys going through some pretty interesting and very positive changes, some growth, some maturing, like evolving individually. I see this a lot out of your partner, less out of you because you're not being called to do it in this spread. Your partner is, and I see it happening. And I think with this, like the Magician card is very, very positive. It tells me like, oh yeah, you're going to see something out of your partner that you've probably always wanted to see, but you never dared ask, because it just seemed like it didn't seem that important, or it was too big of an ask, but I think you're actually going to get it. Whatever that is, there's something you're going to get from your partner, like they're going to work on in themselves. And, just a very, very hopeful, just as long as you keep doing you keep bringing that energy, you keep bringing that passion, you keep letting your partner know like how much you love and care about them. I feel like you guys are big on touch as a love language. I just feel acts of kindness. There's just a lot of doing, a lot of action between you guys. Okay, so I'm going to get 2 chakra stones that I think you guys just need, I don't want to say need to work on, but like could develop a little bit more to kind of help this process along. And I pick this one up every time. Maybe it's the shape, but you know what? It's your stone all the same. This is the crown chakra. This is getting into that spirituality. And for a couples reading like this, I think it's like opening your mind to different things as a couple. That's kind of what I'm getting out of it. And I just got that out of it because I've literally picked it up almost every time. Definitely a spiritual sense, but like, I think it's a big, like opening your mind as a couple. What would you guys like get off on together? What would, and I don't just mean that in like a physical way, like a dirty way. I mean, like what's going to like elevate you guys? What's going to make you guys like just lose your minds together? So, and it could be just, I don't know, trying some new food, painting the house a different color, painting your bedroom wall black. I don't know, but like something different and fun that just is going to come to you like in a dream or something. So that's a random message there. It has nothing to do with a chakra. That's okay. Let me do one more. I'm not going to pick that stone up again. Okay. We've got, solar plexus. I lost it. Okay, this is the gut. So for your partner, I'm going to say, I do think of eating more healthy. I don't have the sense that they're not eating healthy, but I do think like with the solar plexus, I think of that going with your gut instinct, trusting yourself, just letting your body like really work, trust that it's going to do what it needs to do. And that's pretty vague. And I feel like this was a great reading and I almost blew it with this example of the solar plexus chakra. So I'm going to kind of backpedal out of that because I feel like, and I'm so sorry, it's not your fault. My brain's fried and I cannot give you a good read on this card. But I will say I did pull this, and if you're interested in chakras, I do feel like if your person developed their solar plexus a little bit more, it might help guide them on this kind of mind-bending, mind-changing experience that they're going to be going through. And you're going to help them too with like something like high level way of thinking that you're going to be introducing to yourself. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to stop now, but I really hope you enjoyed this, and thank you so much for listening this long if you're still here, and please come back for another reading and leave a comment if you have anything to say. Thank you. Goodbye.